My name is Jack Grimmett. I am an educator in the Coachella Valley. I'm a filmmaker who's worked in LA and New York and all across the country. I'm an artist. I collect a lot of stuff. Action figures, comic books, arcades, records. I'm a big kid, and that's what helps me navigate this cold universe. Collecting for me started way back when I was a kid. I was a 1980s latchkey kid who used to run home and jump on the couch when Thundercats would come on TV. After the Thundercats left syndication, I became a huge Ninja Turtles fan. At some point it went from being just a kid playing with his toys, needing to own every single one, to being an adult who absolutely needed to continue that spirit through things like action figure photography. Currently I collect lots of different Ninja Turtles, the NECA ones, the Super 7 ones, the vintage, but I collect a lot of Marvel Legends because they photograph really well, the Star Wars Black Series, we collect Monster High dolls over here, a little bit of everything really. So the last time I was profiled on the Magnificent World of Toys, we were living in a different house, my wife and I. There was more space, but my collection was actually smaller. I was more focused on the vintage. The goal of the vintage was really to replicate the things that I had in my youth. I was hunting for that nostalgia, and for the most part, I got everything. You know, like there is still some vintage that I could get down on, but I got it. I got a lot of what made me happy as a kid. So I started to shift from the vintage into more modern, you know, Marvel Legends, the NECA figures. And I took that turn because I got into action figure photography. I'm not great, but as a filmmaker, I miss organizing sets and then directing characters around. I'm an assistant director, so I used to get to play with the background and all that on film sets. I used to get to move those pieces around. And on film sets, they were essentially my action figures, you know, like I'd be like, okay, you're gonna walk over here and you're gonna wave to this guy, and then this one's gonna come through this door. It's a lot of fun. So now, you know, I'm still living in the Coachella Valley, still teaching, but I'm kind of 3 hours away from LA filmmaking. Action figure photography became a nice outlet for me to still play with that creativity. Collectors like to complain and say that, oh, we don't like these toys, we don't like these toys. If I can photograph it and make it look cool, I'm into it. I like a sense of realism, but I also like that comic book feel. So I use a lot of the extreme sets, backgrounds. I picked up some actual LED lights to do 3-point lighting systems on all of my action figure photography. And every time I take a picture, man, I'm getting a little bit better, a little bit more into it, and I like that. So my collection has focused mainly on the modern stuff. My vintage is still around. I have my vintage Ninja Turtles over here. There's Masters of the Universe back here. My Mighty Max, my Mad Balls, like everything's still here. But what you see is kind of my stock of go-to photography toys. When it comes to the arcades, one turned into many. We bought the Ninja Turtle one back when I was at the old house. And I was like, oh, you know, we found another one on sale. Just one more. We're just gonna get one more. We're just gonna get Mortal Kombat, right? We just got the Marvel vs. Capcom table like a week ago because we were like, hey, that room could use a coffee table. Let's get another arcade. There's literally no more room in here to put any more arcades, but you collectors know how that goes. Okay, so, you know, we talk about grails, we talk about what have you been hunting for. The most recent grail that has been on my list since at least 3rd grade is a comic book. I have a lot of the X-Men from 1963 on. I started like number 2. I go all the way up to wherever the main series cut off at like 500 or 600, and I'm missing something like 70 comics, right? X-Men #1 and Giant Size X-Men #1 have always been on my list. Well, I have a lot of good friends. I was honored to ordain the wedding of my good friends Chris and Rose Benedetto over the summer. We went out to Catalina Island. I was ordained as a minister, officiated the whole wedding. I wrote them, you know, a custom ceremony. It was beautiful. This couple deserves each other. And we all met on a film set because we all work in film together. So I was on the set with them when they became a couple, and we worked together several times since that. So it was really nice to be on this journey. I felt like I was getting married when Chris brought me a thank you gift. And he got me Giant Size X-Men #1. And my wife was there when he handed this to me. And I kid you not, like my eyes teared up. I looked at him, I said, I do. I was absolutely ready to run away with this man for bringing me this gift. He went above and beyond. He found a copy with the cover attached. All the pages are there. He's a collector as well. So he looked for a copy that would be suitable for his collection, and I cannot be more happy than I am having this. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I love it. I love being asked, you know, like how you feel about your collection. Are you proud of it? Collectors, you know that when a non-collector walks in the room, their reaction is different than when a collector walks in the room, right? If I didn't love and care for and use my collection, I would look like a hoarder. But I love my collection. And I love the joy that it brings other people when they encounter my collection. Nieces, nephews, they come in the house and they start touching all the toys. I get a little nervous. Don't break that. But at the same time, I curb that because I remember what it was like being that kid running around and playing with the new toys, or the toys that you couldn't afford to have. You know, you go to a friend's house and they have other things that you never dreamt of having, and you get to play with them. So yeah, I'm proud of this collection. I know that it's not something that will go to the grave with me. This will go to the grave with me. This one is just gonna be buried with me, but the rest of it's not gonna go. And one day, another collector is gonna own pieces of this. And I think that's cool too. You know, I like the idea that by preserving these things, by having toys from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, that a little piece of that nostalgia can be passed on. Because as far as we've come with technology, we've lost a lot of what it means to play. May those who play never gray. I'm clearly graying. It's in the beard, it's in the hair. My students, who are generally so removed, they're teenagers, they're surrounded by their own egos, they never know how old I am. And when I tell them I'm 40, man, and they're like, no, and I'm like, well, how old did you think I was? And they're like, I don't know, anywhere from like 20s, 30s, like I don't know. And I'm like, dude, I'm old. I've lived lifetimes before you were born. I think my connection to toys and nostalgia, music and art and culture, I think that all allows me to stay youthful. When I teach my ELA courses, we have this discussion when we get to poetry and Walt Whitman and Emily Dickinson. It's school, so we try to define things without religion, you know? We don't want to step on anyone's religion. I ask questions about around the room. I say, you know, if you cut off my arm, am I still me? My students, they say yes. If you cut off my leg, am I still me? Yeah. What happens if you cut off my head? And they all smile. And they say, well, I guess some of you still has to exist. That's right. We are not this pile of bread, right? You eat bread, put it in your belly, it becomes you. You eat a lot of bread, it becomes a bigger you. But we're not the bread. It helps constitute who we are. But the body that I had when I was an infant, the body that I had when I was jumping on the couch to the Thundercats theme music, is a completely different body than I have today. Who I am is driven by some existential energy, and that energy has a youth to it. That energy has a sense of playfulness, and no matter how dark the world can get or how much, taxes and bills can beat you down as a 40-something-year-old person, you can still play. Come have fun. Take life a little less seriously. Leave the problems at the door. You don't need to bring that with you. We can spend as long as we choose harping on a single thought, a single negative emotion. But thoughts come and go within 12 seconds. And if you can keep that energy present, you can maintain a youthful essence throughout your entire existence. By bringing that into my life, by bringing collecting and toys and nostalgia and understanding that the past is fleeting, but we can hold on to the positivity that was tethered to some of these items, I'm able to keep my students actually more present, more aware of how they can control and react to the environment around them. I see students all the time, and I give them fidget spinners in my class, and they play with the fidget. Whenever you see me fidget, I'm usually just taking a toy and like bending the legs and posing them and just trying to play. And I think the kids have a need for that. That's why they use the fidgets, is because they're trying to play. But technology has robbed a lot of that from modern childhood. Put an action figure in their hand, they'll play with it. If you want to follow me, see any of my toy photography, follow any of my filmmaking adventures, or see adorable puppies, Grandmaster Grimm, Grandmaster_Grimm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok and stuff, but I sporadically make videos, so sometimes you'll see something cinematic pop up. I'm not trying to monetize, I'm not trying to be an influencer. I just like to share some of the collection with all of you. Come join, hang out, ask me weird questions.